Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off with something pretty huge and awesome. We're talking about PlayStation 4 emulation with Shad PS4. And as you can see here, Shad PS4 is booting Bloodborne. I am not joking with ya, this is real. Now it is worth pointing out there's a difference between bootable and playable. The game is currently not playable, but just booting it in the first place is a massive accomplishment. They say, warning, it is still highly a work in progress. Now to say that this is impressive would be a massive understatement. I just talked about Bloodborne the other day. I just talked about Shad PS4 the other day. And I said, don't expect to be playing Bloodborne anytime sooner, something along those lines. I'm just blown away with how much they've accomplished in such little time. The latest release of Shad PS4 was just a few days ago, version 0.1.0, and the footage you saw of Bloodborne booting was from Shad PS4 version 0.1.1. So a lot of stuff has happened in a very short period of time. Shad PS4 is 100% free and open source, and if you wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link in the description below and feel free to check it out. I'm very curious to see if other PS4 emulators now figure out what Shad PS4 did and try to implement it in their emulators as well. Next up, I've got a giveaway for you, and now it's not Grand Theft Auto 6, but I thought that it's worth pointing out because this trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 released already 7 months ago. I can't believe it's been 7 months since we've seen this trailer. So the giveaway here is for one Steam key for the Jackbox Party Pack 10. If you're interested in this one, to enter the giveaway is simple and straightforward. Send an email to giveaway@mrsujano.com with the answer to this question. What else do you think we're going to see before we get GTA 6? I'll be choosing one lucky winner at complete random to receive the key, provided you can tell me what you think we're going to see before Grand Theft Auto 6. And again, send the email to giveaway@mrsujano.com. Moving on, and we're talking about Outrun 2006 Coast to Coast, the PC port of it. And the PC port has just received a pretty big update here. It got some new fixes and tweaks, including reflections, better controller support, music swapping, disabling vehicle LODs, faster loading and UI scaling, and even more. So this update or patch has been created by Emus. It's up on GitHub and it's called Outrun 2006 Tweaks version 0.4. The latest version before this one was version 0.3 that was released about a week ago, so this is getting quite a few patches. If you are curious about this one, it's free, it's open source, it's on GitHub, and I'll drop a link to it in the description below in the event that you wanted to learn more about it. There's a whole lot of information here, what the tweaks do, how to install them, and even more. Next up is a quick heads up if you've got a PSX DVR, and if you don't, this is a pretty cool piece of news in terms of game preservation. So one of the biggest risks of the PSX DVR are the hard drives failing, and that appears it may not be a risk moving forward. So here's the tweet, or X. Attention Sony PSX DVR fans. As you may know, there is an ongoing concern with PSX hard drives failing, and there is currently no low-cost option to replace them. Our favorite professional data recovery engineer has joined the efforts to understand the PSX drive firmware and break open the encryption. I'm very curious to see if Sky HDD can actually do this, and if you wanted to learn more about it, if you're a part of the community, they do have a couple of Discord groups, and I'll drop a link to this tweet in the description below, and feel free to check it out. Next up, I've got another friendly heads up for you, and this content does contain spoilers, but this video doesn't, so you don't have to worry here. I won't click on the view spoiler button. Basically, at a super high level here, Elden Ring has released that Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. And apparently there was some cut content from it. And apparently someone may have found that cut content and published it. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link to this Reddit post in the description below, and I guess feel free to check it out, but warning, there will be spoilers. Next up, we're talking about Horizon, and you may or may not have known that Sony is working on a Horizon Netflix series, or was working on one. Apparently there were some pretty big issues with one particular person, and this whole series may not be moving forward. I'll drop a link to this VGC article in the description below, and feel free to check it out. They've also got a link to the parent article over on Rolling Stone, which is pretty wordy. Anyways, here Steve was accused of being toxic, bullying, manipulative, and also experiencing retaliatory behavior. I don't know a whole lot about showbiz, but I would guess that Steve is out and someone else will be in. Next up, we're talking about Raspberry Pi OS, and Raspberry Pi OS just got a brand new update on July 4th. Now, this update comes with a whole bunch of tweaks and fixes, and also introduces a brand new option when you first install Raspberry Pi OS. And that's the option to not install Raspberry Pi Connect, which is a way to remotely access your Raspberry Pi, I'm guessing for security reasons. And speaking about Linux, next up we're quickly talking about Gaming on Linux. Gaming on Linux is an awesome website for a lot of Gaming on Linux news. Anyways, here they're celebrating their 15th birthday, and I just wanted to wish them a happy birthday. Moving on, and we're talking about Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. This game released back in 2014, and it's just been released on GOG, but there's something very interesting about it. And just for reference, it is on sale for 40% off. So here is the piece of information that has got a lot of people talking. So MGRR released on GOG today. The release is fun because it's literally the same exe as the Steam release. The game still does calls to Steam API, but the DLL is replaced with a Steam emulator that translates the calls to GOG Galaxy API. This is essentially an official crack. So while I don't own this version of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, I'm assuming that since it's an official crack, it's probably compatible with unofficial patches that have already been released for this. Next up, if you're a fan of lawsuits, you might like this piece of news. Sony Music is reportedly going after piracy portal Hikari no Akari. I'll drop a link to this article in the description below in the event that you wanted to learn more about it. It appears that Sony is going after Cloudflare to try to gain information about the people behind the websites. And speaking about websites and controversies, next up we're talking about Animeflix, and apparently Animeflix has shut down. So here's the official announcement. Dear Animeflix community, it is with a heavy heart that we announce the closure of Animeflix. After careful consideration, we have decided to shut down our service, effective immediately. There is no reason as to exactly why. Torn Freak noticed a possible coincidence as Animeflix and MagnetDL used the same hosting company, Server Astra. I'll drop a link to this article in the description below, and feel free to check it out if you wanted to learn more about the situation. And for reference here, MagnetDL went offline last week. And speaking about articles, I'll drop a link to this one in the description below as well. I drop a link to every article I talk about in the description below. Anyways, here, the latest rumor with the Google Pixel 9 is that it will have an ultrasonic sensor instead of the, I would say, not great optical sensor most of them currently have, or all of them currently have. To be honest with you, I am glad to see this improvement. I've got a Pixel 7 Pro, and I'll be upgrading to the Pixel 9, I think, when it comes out. There's already rumors about the Pixel 10 and how great it's going to be versus the Pixel 9, so I guess we'll wait and see. I may hold off for another year. Next up, it appears we may be soon getting an unofficial PC port of Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and also Shining Pearl. This is the latest tweet here from Team Luminescent. Our Decomp is booting and getting into the main game itself. It may not look too pretty now, but in time it will be the base for fan games and ROM hacks. I'm very curious to see where this project goes, and let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. And speaking about development, next up we're talking about something where the seller got very creative. Someone sold a PlayStation 5 development kit as a PS5 Pizza Station 5 development pizza kit. And you can tell it's a PlayStation 5 development kit dressed up as some sort of weird pizza kit complete with frozen pizzas. I'm curious as to who picked up this development kit and what's the purpose of it. Are they just collecting? Are they using it to try to get insider information about the PS5? Who knows? I did notice a PlayStation logo on the flipper there. Ah, geez. Next up, we're talking about Nintendo 64 emulation on PC with RMG. RMG stands for Subscribe to Mr. Sujano, or Rosalie's Mupin GUI, depending on how you want to interpret that. Anyways, RMG just got a brand new update. So at the time of filming, version 0.6.5 is the latest update. We've got some fixes, some additions, some improvements, and some tweaks. One of the things I like seeing here is the addition of the Restore Defaults button to the configuration GUI. That way, if you're messing around in there changing a bunch of settings and you screw something up, you can just fix it. Next up, we're quickly talking about Epic Games, and this is more of just a heads up. The Falconeer is currently 100% free over on Epic. If you use Epic, it may be worth picking up. If you don't use Epic, it may be worth making an Epic account for. I mean, I don't think I've paid for one game over on Epic, and I have a pretty nice library considering Epic keeps giving away free games. Next up, we're talking about Android, and if you don't like the Google keyboard, the Gboard, and if you don't like the potential privacy issues with using a Gboard, you may be a fan of Futo, which is a brand new keyboard that's open source and private. The website for Futo says it's 100% offline, 100% private. It's got offline voice input, swipe to type, smart autocorrect, and even more. This keyboard is available over on F-Droid, but on the Google Play Store, it's got over 10,000 downloads with a 4.7 star rating. I'll drop a link to it in the description below in the event that you wanted to check it out. Next up, this may be something, it may be nothing. The current rumor out there is that Nintendo is going to be bringing DS games to Nintendo Switch Online. And it all started because of a trademark renewal. Now, I'll say this, Nintendo does renew trademarks all the time. For example, here they've also got Twilight Princess and Wind Waker trademarks being renewed. So I'm not necessarily sure if this is actually going to be true, but you know what? At the same time here, having DS games on the Switch kind of makes sense. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I wouldn't hold my breath about it, but at the same time, not unexpected. And speaking about stuff on other systems, next up here we're talking about Sonic Mania that's being ported over to Dreamcast. I'll drop a link to this tweet or X in the description below and feel free to check it out. This is footage of Sonic Mania running on a Dreamcast, and it appears to be running very well. I don't have a release date for you just yet. It appears it's still under development. And last up here, we're talking about a couple of data breaches you may want to know about. So Roll20, an online tabletop role-playing game, has disclosed a data breach. So the attack happened on June 29th, and what was exposed here was the user's first and last name, the user's email addresses, the user's last known IP address, and the last 4 digits of the user's credit card if the user maintained a stored payment method on the Roll20 account. If you are curious about this one, if you've got a Roll20 account, I'll drop a link to this page in the description below and feel free to check it out to learn more about it. And last up here, another hack, and this is a big one. Authy got hacked, an authenticator app, and 33 million user phone numbers were stolen. The company is recommending people update to the latest versions of their application to avoid further security issues. They are stating that the only thing that was taken was phone numbers, but who knows? But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. Well, maybe in the outro. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about anything we talked about in the comments below. If you like this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.